Hello and welcome to Wondertilt. We've missed you. Well, not really. Well, maybe we've missed you in our day-to-day. My name is Russ, and I'm here with my co-hosts Cloud Coma.
Hello.
And Senor Super Dave.
Hola.
And we are... cross races. I like that. Okay, well, and we are so excited to be with you for another podcast episode. I've been told that our lives are unexciting, so I'm not going to ask you guys how you're doing because I love you and I don't care. That's actually a lie. I do care, but apparently none of us do anything exciting, and we've all agreed on that, and that's okay. But I do have something, gentlemen, that has kind of come up in my day-to-day, and it brought a thought to my mind, and I would like to know your thoughts, okay?
Okay.
Every single day, our senses, sight, sound, touch, taste. Is there another one? I don't remember.
There's
There's five.
Sense of humor.
There you go. The fifth one is sense of humor. Every single day, our senses are constantly on alert, picking up signals in every single direction. And our brain is filtering these senses every single day at thousands and thousands of thoughts per second. And yet, there are still, in our lifetime, we developed a disdain or a hatred or a downright discomfort to a few of those senses throughout our daily interactions. Somehow, some way, in the mundane day-to-day, we still have some things that stand out that our brain can just not ignore. And so I wanted to bring to the table of Wondertilt today the idea of sights, sounds, senses that we cannot stand. Man, that's a lot of S's. Say that fast 3 times there, Dave. Good job. Well done.
I'll slow that down later if you guys want to.
And you'll hear it. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if am I making sense? In your day-to-day, have there, through your years, has there been anything that's really developed where you're like, I just cannot shake, whether it's a smell, whether it is something that you see, there are some things that aggravate me no matter what, or I don't know, any of those senses that you guys know trigger you, and you're like, I can't, no matter what I do, I can't get rid of this, and I can't shake it. You don't have to do all of them, but I wanted to ask you, gentlemen, off the top of your head, one thing, whether you can say smell or touch, that has caught you off guard, that has ruined your day, and you can't shake it.
Yeah. I think there are some.
Roaring
things.
start.
Yeah. For a while there, I got really thrown off anytime I would never notice it before, but then all of a sudden I did. The noise of people chewing, especially if they're sitting really close to you. It's one of those things that I wouldn't even think about it, but when you're actually paying attention to it, it could be. I don't know.
How often
really
can you
gross,
hear it then? Is this at like a dinner table situation, or like at a party where you're like munching on munchies?
Yeah, whatever. Like say
Right.
just
Or a
sitting,
podcast,
over at your buddy's house, eating pizza, watching TV or whatever, something like that. Yeah. Well, even like not, but like the noise of actual like food being chewed in the mouth,
like the gushiness,
bananas, they make that horrible. Yeah, it's just kind of gross when you notice it, but I almost have to try to not notice it so that I can be a human being who interacts with people, but
and not punch people just randomly.
That's one
across the table.
Can you give us a specific example though of like when was it like at a family gathering, or like when was the last time you actually noticed this sensation where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to punch this person in the face if I don't get out of here? Do you remember anything?
Yeah, I don't want to like
no names,
throw this
no
person
names,
under the bus.
Just
I was
names.
definitely hanging out with somebody once, and yeah, thankfully it was somebody I was really close to, so I could say horrible things and know it would be taken well. And I told them that they sounded like somebody plunging a toilet.
Oh, dang!
It's a pretty
already a mental image. Yeah. Holy balls, that's disgusting.
Yeah, but I mean,
wait. So
then I listened to myself.
That's like half opening and closing your mouth.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. I mean, you're right. I guess that is the auditory image that I'm painting. But Yeah, but then I listen to myself when I'm chewing, and it's like your heartbeat, like one of those things where you've learned to just ignore it, but then I listen to it, and it's like exactly the same, but only worse because it's coming from
No
inside
way.
my own
You
head.
catch yourself
And,
too, and you're like, oh God.
well, just that one time because I was just realizing that like that was a super harsh thing to say, and how am I
Oh,
much
gross.
better?
No, no, no,
Nope,
no,
nope, I'm
no.
not.
Freaking no. No. Okay. Jeez.
So, anyways,
That is great.
that's the
Wait, we're
thing.
off to a great start.
That 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 actually reminds me of like people that don't like the word moist,
Oh,
and I don't know why, because it's just a word,
but it's true.
but
There are
that's
people
what
that
yeah.
actually hate it.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
I had a friend who hated the words, and I kid you not, these were his two like swear words. Like he was he's a wonderful man, great friend of mine, but he was a large, like not large like fat, but like he was a big guy, so don't piss him off. But he could not stand the following words: moist and panties. So of course, naturally, me being an idiot, I obviously, what do you think you're gonna do? You're gonna put those two words together, obviously.
That's right.
And you often walk up to him and be like, "Hey, moist panties," and he would lose his
Nah, I don't think about
freaking
that.
crap.
My mind is
You're
pure.
welcome. Moist panties. I'm thinking of someone hand washing panties.
Yeah, what are you thinking of?
Yeah, Claudio.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
that's
know
right.
what
Sorry.
Dave and I,
Oh, man.
virgin minds, apparently. Mr. Cloud, what has now? Well, just one thing, because we've got a lot of time and we want to make sure we beat to death all of our ideas. But what is one thing you notice right off the hop that you cannot handle, or your brain just lights up whenever you see it, hear it, feel it, touch it, whatever?
Well, I wrote down that.
And I legit am going to mute my mic because I'm eating chips. Just so you guys all know, I was teasing Dave earlier, but I am legitimately, I'm eating Tostitos. Yeah, I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. So for me, it would be, now we might lose half our audience.
Oh no, this is
Maybe
not good.
even.
Okay.
Maybe a third.
Dang.
Women's voices sometimes.
Sorry.
Okay, but it's a specific part of it. It's like a nasaliness that happens in their voices.
Females or
and
some?
It sounds like no, just some. I'm pretty sure that they're all capable of it.
Oh my gosh.
But it's just some that naturally have it and they don't know they have it.
That's all we have time for, folks. Have a great night.
Because no, it sounds like a nagging almost. It's like the voice that people give when they're nagging you. And that's what it reminds me of. And so I just hear it when someone's talking. And if they don't notice it, then it just...
Oh, like this is situational, like audible hearing. You don't hear this all the time?
No, it's naturally in some people's voices, but I don't always hear it in female voices. It's just sometimes.
I completely understand this. Okay, yeah. I completely understand what you're saying. You had me worried there for a minute, man.
Yeah, no, it's not all females. They don't all just sound like they're nagging. It's just some people are just born with it. And they
can you give us an example, Cloud? I'm really having a trouble, understanding what you're talking about.
Well, I don't know. Like, it's just, like, I don't know if I can even do it. Like, it kind of goes like high pitched, and it's like as if they're talking through their nose, so almost like they're holding their nose shut, but it's like a high pitched kind of speaking. And it just kind of pierces right through to my brain like a knife. And so it's just like painful
why they do it.
to me.
It could be learned behavior.
Yeah, but like some people don't. They're trying to hurt me.
Apparently.
Yes, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's weird.
That's the best way to describe it.
Quick thought then. Okay, I think especially those who are choosing to pioneer and listen to the Wondertilt experience, we have to give them a sample. And so I've decided, Claude, you're obviously the most best capable to judge this.
Okay.
So Dave and I are each going to take a maybe 3 to 5 second clip and try our darnest for a whiny voice.
Okay.
And I want you to just let us know if we've even come close to the target, and whoever gets closest to the target wins.
Okay, I can do
annoying
this.
you.
I like this game.
The job is to piss off Cloud.
Let's do it. Okay, sounds good.
Fair enough, Dave?
Okay, you go first.
Well, wait. I will. I'm going to.
What's an example?
I want one last description. I want Cloud. I want you to. You're an artist. I want you to give me the best description of what you hate about it, and I will try my darndest.
Okay. So, I guess you could kind of say that country singers kind of have it. I don't like country music for this reason too.
Country singers have
So
it. Okay.
country singers have this nasaliness, like when they're singing.
Yes.
That's kind of what it is, but with a female tone. And it's like the voice is at the same time as it's coming out of their mouth.
Okay.
It's coming out of their nose.
It's coming out.
And that creates like a high pitched frequency.
Okay.
That is like a hot knife through my head.
Hot knife through your head, higher nasally. All right. And do you want to give me a topic that I'm talking to you about? Because I have to simulate a conversation. Because that's when you said it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, you got a topic?
I mean, I feel like I'm being set up to make a sexist joke about someone. I swear, I feel like this is like a punked episode, and then they're just gonna take this clip and
Wondertilt.
Ashton Kutcher, you're just gonna pop out.
Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I mean, you can speak out of your nose, like it's that's like a certain singing technique to broaden your range. You can hit higher decibels if you
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I use it when I'm saying.
I'm just gonna go for it then. I'm just gonna try to simulate. Now I'm gonna try not to pick a young demographic of age that is easy to mock in terms of the way they talk. But again, if you're offended, please know that boys are stupid as well, and this is just us talking. This is just our opinions of things that annoy us. Okay, this isn't against anyone.
It's probably why I'm single.
Well, okay. Well, have a great night, everyone, and tip your waitresses. Apparently, okay. So, like, I often found that I often am overly complicated emotionally, and I feel like more often than not, I'm actually a deeper personality than the person I'm talking to, and I don't know. Like, I just really feel like I don't connect well with people that I want to. And so I often am alone because I often think that I'm smarter than the people in the room.
Wow.
Yeah, very close. You're very close, but you didn't. I
couldn't go high enough. I was like, I don't want to fake a
frequency.
falsetto and push it through my nose. So I tried to hit a mid range.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I'm not. So this is a good example because I'm not talking about the mannerisms as how they.
That's right. That's just
enunciate the mannerisms as how they
it's
talk.
The tone of voice.
Their pronunciation.
It's the tone of voice.
Exactly. It's this certain tone that just really aggravates.
That's my
me.
default impression.
And
so
only some females do it, and they don't know they're doing it.
Okay. Hey, Dave, are you still up to the challenge, or are you just leaving me hanging as the sexist?
You just want me to have a go at this? Okay.
Just we have nothing to lose, man. I've already tried and I already failed. Now, again, I gave you the advantage. The competitive advantage has been given to you because I hit a mid-range and I still didn't hit the nasally pitch. And again, it's not the mannerism.
All right.
It is the way. Okay, go for it.
All right. Hey, so we just wanted to talk about people leaving their dishes in the break room. I mean, people have been leaving them up on the counter, but they haven't quite been making them to the sink. And we just want to make sure that everybody is really putting their dishes in the sink because we're tired of cleaning them up off the counter.
Push that nasal. Come on.
That's all I got.
Oh, well done. I mean, regardless.
That's all you got.
Now, Cloud, how close was it?
You have no idea how hard it was to hold back my laugh.
Me too. Sorry, I didn't do a very good job. Now, amongst the two samples, who got closest?
Rex, you win.
I'm totally
You got closer. Dave got the nagging spot on.
Absolutely, he was
whereas
way
Russ did
stronger
not.
in the nag.
It's all about the passive aggressiveness.
So there are two prizes.
That whole speech about the dishes was too relatable, and I was like, "Shut up right now! Just stop! I'm already ready to pull my hair out. This is enough." Now, so that was Cloud. Now, Dave, Mr. Super, what has pissed you off? And I hope people aren't turned off by the word "piss off." Sorry, guys, it's my default. But what has triggered your brain all throughout your life? Something you could say: a sound, a sight, a sense, whatever, smell, whatever.
Well, that's one. No, there's okay, so I'm sure we may have talked about this before, you know, how your sense of smell is the most attributed to your memory and how certain smells can just bring you right back to a certain time and place, or even just every time you've been into this kind of building. So for me, there's a I like to call it a smell palette for
Yes.
schools. And it's like a
Really?
combination of like sweaty kids and
Oh,
cheap
weird.
cleaning products and, floor wax and just kind of like dust a little bit. And it's sort of like it varies from school to school, but inevitably everyone you go to, especially with like kids, younger kids, it's just got this kind of palette. And it's nothing, it's the whole thing and more like it just takes me back to being a kid in school, which, whatever, for whatever reason, my mind has attributed negatively. So it's just something that, I wouldn't even think of it until I was going through a school and just got a whiff and was like, oh, yeah, I forgot how much I hate that.
So the whole smell palette is what triggers you off in your brain. So that one, though, developed over time, though. Your brain can't get past the previous memories that you now associate with that smell.
Yeah, I mean, how many years do you spend going to school, right? And so
That's
it's
true.
just kind of, you sort of, whatever. It can just, certain smells can do that. And it's weird. Sometimes you can't even place what it is you're smelling, just that it makes you think of this.
I totally get it. I totally get it. And actually, that actually reminds me, I didn't even think about this, but I actually kind of just now maybe have realized an epiphany as to why I hate going to public swimming centers. Because whenever I smell the strong scent of chlorine, I am instantly reminded of this terrorizing swimming teacher at the YMCA when I was a young kid. And I know that this is not sad. You guys can all laugh, but like legit, this woman was like a frickin' Nazi. I don't know if we're allowed to say that. She was a frickin' drill sergeant, made people cry. I was not the only one. And so now whenever I do catch a whiff of a pool, people are like, let's go swimming. I'm like, I'm shuddering in a corner. But yeah, maybe that's more with drama.
Just have chlorine in my eyes, guys.
I'm sorry. This apparently has nothing to do with scents and smells that like make us angry. This is terrorizing and traumatic now. No. Now I have a question for you. I agree with the smell palette, not just the swimming pool thing. But this is something that Paula, my wife, Cloud's sister, brought up. And I don't know if you guys have ever smelled this before, but I asked her this question. We were grocery shopping before we came back to record. And I asked her this question. I said, are there any scents or sounds or, touch, any senses that have triggered you, or were you just like, I'm out. My brain can't get past this sensation. She did not even hesitate. She's like, Russ, vomited back up children's bananas.
I mean, I'll stop you at vomited back up anything.
No.
Just smell it. Just wait.
Like. Okay, so vomit, yes, to a degree, anyone can get past it. There are people even in my office that are like, okay, I have a weird story for you guys really quick. Are you guys okay with this? Okay. I didn't even wait for you guys. So we have an office dog now at my new job. I love my new job. It's very different. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of research and relationship building involved in my new job as a salesman. Now, one of my coworkers we have a dog policy. As long as they're trained and they don't go in the office, they don't go potty in the office, and they don't bark like cray cray, you can bring them to work. It's actually a really cool workplace. Kind of dope. Okay. This dog is like a beautiful, like German Shepherd cross collie or lab or something. It's a mutt. It was a rescue. She's adorable. Her name is Dora. Okay. So she's got a little bit of attachment issues because she was a street rescue, and my coworker and her like never separated. Like whenever he goes to quickly go bathroom or something, she's already whining. So he forgot his laptop this morning. This happened today. This morning, he forgot his laptop. He gets into the office. He's like, oh, crap. Guys, I'll be back in 45 minutes. I totally forgot my laptop. So he leaves, but he doesn't take Dora with him. Okay. So she's like whining. She's panicking. She's looking around. She's uncomfortable. And I'm like, it's okay, Dora. I'm petting her. She tries to lay down at my feet. She won't do it. She's just pacing. She drinks a bunch of water. Okay. Behind in my half cubicle and my other coworker. And she's lapping it up. And I'm like, oh, she's just really thirsty. Whatever. By the way, that's not a pleasant sound, but it doesn't trigger me. Anyways. She's just walking, and all of a sudden, I'm typing away and about to make a phone call. All of a sudden, I hear, "Hua! Hua!" And there is his dog across the hall, puking in my coworker's office. Pure water. It was a waterfall out of this dog's mouth, and I've never seen that before. Sorry. I just never seen that. So anyways, Paula just said unequivocally the worst smell in the world. Anything vomit, you're right, is bad, but we both agreed if our kids puke up anything else, it's fine. We can handle it. But if it's banana, it just has an extra tanginess to like, I'm serious, you guys. It is just so much worse. So that was just something I had to add because she had a really good answer. So there you go. That's not a normal weird one though. What are any weird ones? Like, we've talked about some pretty normal, like, or understandable ones. Like, I totally get the school smell. That makes 100%. The women nagging is on the verge of us losing a large demographic of any listeners that decide to be the opposite sex, but we'll work on that. That's fine. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, you've already kind of described that. It has nothing to do with females. It's the way that they can present their voice, I guess. Are there any weird ones though that you'll notice where you're like, oh, I think I'm the only one that kind of has this problem? Does anything come to mind?
I think I've talked about the hipster owls with you guys before, right? In like contemporary songs, it's very common in sort of like more contemporary sort of rock, and which they'll have a chorus of guys and they'll be in the background and they'll just go like during an interlude or in between or bridge, they'll just go like, yes. And I just hate it. And every time I just imagine swarms of these owls with scarves and thick frame glasses, because you only ever hear them in these stupid songs. And I've never been sold on it. And I just hear it. It's just like a failed attempt to try and hook me. And every
That's
time.
what you hate? Super Dave hates
hipster owls.
Gang vocal oohs. The ooh.
The high falsetto with the guys. Yeah.
Gosh. Wow.
Nah. It's just I wasn't that into it the first time I heard it, and then it was just like from then on, like so many songs have it, and I'm just like, oh, so they've released the owls again. Damn it,
Dave! I had no idea. Holy crap!
I mean, I guess it's weird because I can't
No,
really
I
give you a
agree.
specific
I'm
reason
shocked.
why I don't like it. I guess it's just, you see somebody trying to do something that they think people will like, and if you don't like it, it's kind of like, okay, that's cool, but then they keep doing it. Eventually, you're like, all right,
wow,
come on now.
Wow, okay,
be fair.
That's enough.
Cloud. No, but I like gang vocals, but we're still friends. It's okay.
Okay.
We're still friends. For me, it's like clams and oysters. It's like they taste good, but I used to love them as a kid.
Oh, okay.
And then one time I had like clam chowder, and I just put it in my mouth.
Clam chowder.
And instantly I had to puke. And that might have... Yes, that, yeah. And then from then on, I probably was traumatized. Once again, we have PTSD. And I ended up, every time there's like a clam or an oyster or whatever, and I have to eat it, I'm just reminded of it, but also that like the part that we're eating is the living part of it. And it's just weird to me because I always think about it. And I always think this is the part that like makes everything move, that's alive.
I mean,
do you cook it
thought when you eat any meat?
No, it's not. It's just oysters and clams.
I mean,
yeah, and that's what's weird about it.
Concept, right?
and I think it's weird because it's just like this is like the entire animal itself, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it's weird to me because it's like the entirety of it.
Oh, and you know
like,
what?
It's not just like a piece of it.
Well, in Good Mythical Morning,
did game hang in your mouth.
Well, like because Rhett and Link did a Good Mythical Morning episode where what was it? It had something to do with the clam. Did you watch that, Cloud, at all?
I didn't know about that.
What was it about, you guys? Sorry, it was like deep fried. I think they were making jerky of everything. I think it was like Willet jerky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Willet jerky, and they did clams, and the tongue was dehydrated and elongated out of the clam, and they chewed it and they puked instantly because then the body actually fell out. Like they tried to chew the top, and then it was so dehydrated that the moist, milky body came out of the shell. Link was gagging pretty hardcore. Rhett was gagging too. So,
Well, and like when it's cooked like regularly, not dehydrated. Like when you put it in your mouth, it's weird because it's like a sack. It feels like a sack, and then you're biting into it. And I try not to touch it with my tongue so that I don't get like that texture feel. But around the sack, like the opening of it, it's kind of like got little tiny barbs, like teeth.
Yeah.
And so it's just weird because like the whole thing is weird to me, where there's like this smooth sack, these bristly barbs on there, and then once you bite into it, it's almost like a paste. And so all these textures are mixing together for me, and it's just really, really weird.
Okay, yeah, it is weird.
I'm loving
I'll
this
grant you.
podcast.
It's definitely,
This is great.
it's one of those things. Yeah, it's a weird food.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like one of my weird ones. And then like another food thing would be like greasy fat. Sometimes I like it because it gives like flavor, but if there's just too much like meat to fat ratio, like if there's just too much fat on there,
ratio, I guess.
yeah, it's just kind of like it's a little too slippery for me and a little too chewy.
I mean, I don't have as many food ones. I mean, you guys already know about my food. We actually did an episode, everyone. You can go back on wondertilt.com or on YouTube, our channel, and look up the episode about phobias, where we talk about what we're afraid of.
Yeah.
I don't hate the smell of fish. I don't hate the taste of fish. I just hate the sight of fish, and that's different. And that's not what we're talking about today.
I hate everything.
I hate the entirety of fish. I hate all fish kind. But in terms of sounds, there are two things, and I don't want to be too mean because this one is kind of related to clouds. It was my son, Titus. I love my son. Okay, disclaimer: I am a good dad. I am trying my best. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm a good dad. I am trying my best. My son, Titus, has the highest pitched, shrillest boy voice. And Dave's laughing. Everyone's laughing because they know exactly how my son sounds. I wish I could find an audio clip. I don't think I can of my son. But here's the thing. The worst part is right now he's in the stage where when he wants attention, he says daddy, daddy, daddy 7 times in a row as high pitched as he can. And I freaking lose it. Like guys, I like to think that I'm a pretty patient father and that I have grace in most circumstances. But when that little voice, daddy, 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 like, oh my gosh, I lose my flipping crap all the time.
That's good. More parents should be like that. I feel.
That's why.
I mean, as long as you're doing something about it, you know, it's you know, I mean, kids are like that, and they're in the stage, and that's when they gotta learn. And sometimes that's how you learn. You push somebody over the edge, and then you're like, oh, okay, well,
absolutely,
okay, something about my approach didn't work.
Love my son, but there are definitely situations where he freaking like goes off, and I'm like, Titus. Sorry, daddy's sorry, but like, just come on, sweet. Here, let me see. I don't know if this is actually what. Let me see. Here, give me a moment here, guys.
Oh wait,
I'm gonna see if you can hear.
Oh, do you have one?
Okay, I'm doing it. So that's a very small, bad sample, and I'm sorry for the terrible audio quality, and I hope your ears don't break. But when that little voice goes off 5 times in a row as high-pitched and loud as possible, my brain can't get past that. I'm handicapped in that sense.
No, you're just a parent.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
I wrote it down too, but for me it's kind of a weird reason because like I don't mind kids crying, I don't mind them talking like high pitched, but when it comes to their like scream, it's not necessarily that I hate the scream itself.
Right.
I just know that it's damaging my ear, and I use my ears a lot for what I do.
Oh, so it's the mental picture of what it's doing to your ears.
Exactly. So it's not hurting me at that. Like, it's not annoying to me. It's just that I know that all of a sudden that piercing hits my eardrum and it's like digging a hole into my head. and I'm just like,
wow.
I need my ears for doing things I love. And so that's when I'm just like, cover my ears. It's not that it's really hurting. It's just that I know it's causing damage.
Conscientiousness of damage.
Exactly. And so the kids don't annoy me, and I can stand there crying, and I can, because I'm very good at annoying. Like, no, not annoying.
Oh, good to know.
Ignoring.
That's great, Cloud.
I am annoying, but I can ignore very well.
That's okay.
Well, children made my list too, and I can definitely say that I do find them annoying, generally speaking, at times.
Good. All right. See, none of us are terrible people. This is good.
But you know, now not to say that children in general, like whatever, you know, it's when they're kind of in the background and I'm not interacting with them, and then they decide to scream, or somebody else's kid is screaming, and I can't do anything to stop it other than make judgmental looks at my friends.
It catches you off guard.
Yeah, and I even with you know, I mean, kids, you know, cry, especially babies, and I think we're hardwired to be irritated and upset by it. It just naturally makes you like, until you're numb to it, you're kind of just like, something's wrong. I need to stop that noise. And so, you know, I mentioned that I have a nephew now, and they've spent some time in our house, and I've spent some time over at their place, and I've gotten pretty good at handling the child and silencing him when he is, you know, losing it.
Maybe don't say silence him. I'm very good at silencing him.
I'm calming the baby, and that's what everybody says, and they think it's really, you know, they think it's really sweet because, like, I'll just walk up and, you know, like swing him around, and then he's quiet, and we're all good. But really, it's just I can't stand that noise anymore. I need to make that stop. So,
so you're enraged adorably.
It's
wow.
It's just aggressive. I need to stop this now. So, you know, I don't know. Whatever. It's one of the few situations where you actually can do something about it, though. You know, the kid crying, if you can.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't. And I've been in that situation too, and it's the worst.
It's awkward like, because you feel so angry.
Name your price. I'll get my checkbook.
Yes. Exactly.
Be quiet, please.
Well, and if it's at a party or a public gathering, you're like, do I leave? Is that rude? Do I show displeasure, or do I just suck it up and everyone knows that kid is a jerk face and the parents just like, you know,
pretend it's someone else's kid, you know? Jeez, who brought the baby? Honey, start the car.
And I mean, I'm on both sides of this because you know what's funny though? Titus's voice, he doesn't scream. He can get annoying. He can grind on you because of the pitch of his voice. Effie is the one that will scream like a frickin' banshee, and out of nowhere, like he'll literally stop a room, and like he knows it, little butt face. Love my son, but like we'll be like we're trying to be good parents. We're trying to be like, hey, Effie, inside voice. And if he gets tickled or if he gets scared, he screams, and it earth shatter, like glass shattering shrill, and it hurts so bad. But I mean, that's just like audible pain. Like that's just like Cloud, where I'm like, I'm not angry. I'm like, oh God, like I'm going to be deaf by 50 years old. But something did come across, and I was wondering if any of you guys have had this sensation, because I do remember in instances where friends of mine have this. Have you ever heard a sound and get chills or goosebumps? I have one. I don't need to tell it yet, but has there been any sound or sensation of touch that you know of that, like, I'm not talking good goosebumps or chills, like, oh, I got chills. I'm talking like your body shivers.
Mm-hmm.
A sound or a touch?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
No.
I've got some funky ones for you. Now, they're not all me, but these are just, I don't know why they're catching up. So one of them is, you know, like leather furniture, right? Like leather furniture. Mm-hmm. Like the sound of you holding your hands against it, pushing down, and like pulling, you know, like across. My friend literally would crawl into a ball on the floor. Like his sensory, like he just couldn't handle it, and he'd be like, oh God, and like you'd be like, and he literally couldn't handle it. Whenever we went over to someone's house with those kind of couches, he either avoided the living room completely, or he looked uncomfortable, like 24/7.
Worst superpower
ever. That's right. So that's one of them. Number two, Cloud knows this as well, but it's actually quite popular. Soda popping is one of them, but styrofoam, the noise of styrofoam scraping against each other.
Yeah, I get that. I like it, but I understand it's on the border, and I totally get why some people
I'm close.
wouldn't.
I'm close to it becoming a
Mhm.
sense I can't handle because I used to like it,
Mm.
but now if someone deliberately scrapes, I'm just thinking about it. I think I'm actually getting chills. You know what? No, never mind. I'm over the threshold. I am. I literally just thought of it.
Oh, I know. I thought of one.
Okay.
When you're racing with a pencil, and the eraser gets too low, and all of a sudden the metal starts scraping on the paper. That one gives me a chill.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like when your fork or knife slips on
Oh, guys, stop
the
it.
plate when you're cutting
Oh,
something.
God.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I know some people, it's like a weird one. They have like cotton balls, like when they touch them.
Right.
It's like this weird texture for them, and they just freak out.
Oh, my gosh. It's so, like that was literally like 3 in a row where like I'm like
Just thinking about them.
those are really good ones. Like the eraser with
Yeah.
the eraser leaving is good. The plate and the fork.
Oh, I got another weird one.
Go, please.
Paper, like when you grab paper and you run your fingers across it, it just kind of makes like that.
Ooh. Yep.
That just like a weird noise. But there's some people that can't stand it.
Well, Pola was saying that your friend Danica couldn't handle paper. This was weird though. Paper like scraped across the carpet. Apparently.
Oh yeah, okay.
Apparently, like that was like a big trigger for her where she couldn't handle it. And then the other one was styrofoam.
Yes,
Me,
the styrofoam one.
I have a weird one, and I do not remember the first time it happened to me. But when I think maybe it was when we were young, we were at an ice rink skating, and when the people stop, like I actually can't watch hockey with the volume too loud because when people stop or break with their ice skates, I can't handle it.
Really?
I can't. Handle
That's
it.
weird.
It is.
You're weird, Russ.
It is uncomfortable to me. Same with people scraping their windows.
Huh.
It is.
Oh, okay.
I get chills and I can't handle
Do
it.
you
It
feel
is
it
the
when
worst.
you scrape your windows? Like, because some of them are different if you're the person doing the action. Right?
Exactly. No, I do not. I'm fine with it if I'm doing it, but if I hear it and see it, it is uncomfortable for me. It really, really is.
That's odd.
Well, and this is kind of going into the touch one, and I'm sorry I'm all over the place. You guys interrupt me whenever you need to, but like the dry, when you're like, I'm gonna try to describe it, but like when you pick up an ice cube and the ice on the bottom of it is just too dry, like it's dry ice, and it grabs onto your skin.
Oh yeah, like a metal pole in the wintertime, kind of.
That is like that is the worst. That is everything else is acceptable except that sensation because it just terrifies me. So like any movies,
like your skin's gonna rip off or
any
something?
movies where I see that, I'm like, nope, I'm out. I'll walk out of the theater. I swear to God. Like I'm just no.
The way that they taught us about that as kids, I would have sworn that would have been more of a hurdle growing up, avoiding getting frozen to metal. But I swear, other than the one time we were all purposefully licking a post to see if it would work, it never came up ever.
Which we've all done.
Yeah,
right?
well,
we've all done.
You got to try it out.
Science.
A lot of fake stuff in movies nowadays.
Well, wouldn't the thing is like, couldn't you just kind of like start blowing hot air out of your mouth and let it melt? Is that not something that people
for the
can
ice
do?
cubes? You mean, or like in general? Or?
No, for like the tongue on the pole thing.
I've tried that. I've even tried like getting extra saliva on there. It did not help.
Like you weren't able to get it out, hey?
Because it's suctioned to it, right? Like the tongue itself is moist and it's a warm surface going to a very firm cold surface. So it like melts together. So it's like airtight. And so
but like I think that your breath might be able to like heat up the pole. Maybe it's not fast enough. Maybe it depends
on the pole too, like the density of the metal.
Yeah.
The famous schoolyard solution is, of course, warm urine. Being
that's
right. Get out of that situation. So you either need a friend you're very comfortable with or a lot of flexibility.
Hey Dave!
Kind of like a Friends episode.
Hey Dave! Hey, I need you to hook me up, man. We're best buds.
Yeah. I won't look.
I haven't anything to
Honor code.
Yeah,
really
I won't judge you.
Now.
Don't look him in the eye.
Yeah, stop looking at me.
Can't hold eye contact for the rest of the school year.
Why were you staring at me the whole time?
God, yeah. Well, I just, I was so appreciative of your service. I just thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well,
yeah. I don't need my tongue that bad.
Well, that's right.
Just cut it off. Just cut it off.
I have ripped it.
Pull
I have
away
ripped my
and
tongue
hope
off.
for the best.
Did you? Oh, that's gross.
Oh yes, yep. I remember it very distinctly when I was younger. I got my tongue stuck to it was the fence pole, like the metal fences. It was the thick end metal pole. So I think that was my problem right there. Is I picked too thick of a metal, and it couldn't warm.
Yes.
So I got stuck.
Lucky move.
And so I tried to like get saliva. I tried but then finally I panicked. And that is like any Saw movie. When you panic in a trap, it's bad. And I ripped it away. I'm sorry for everyone.
Let's play a game.
I'm sorry, people, for those listening. But yeah, I ripped off my tongue. It was bad. Wow. Isn't this a great episode?
Yeah. Wow.
This is so good. This is great.
Jeez. What else do we hate?
Just things we hate. That's what it's called.
Yep. And
there's I have written down for like a scent, like a smell.
Yep.
Actually, vanilla I really don't enjoy.
What?
Yeah, it's always given me a headache.
Really?
And I lived with my best friend, which is Matthew. And if you shameless plug, but episode 11 about pets, that one has Matthew
guest starring. Yes.
Yep. But he loves the smell of vanilla, and he always has like vanilla air fresheners. He had candles sometimes, and that was like one of his favorite smells. And when I lived with him for a short while, he would use that air freshener. And so I'd walk into the room and I'd be like, oh, my head hurts. Yep. And so it's not really the smell that gets me. It's just that it causes me pain. Wow. So that's why I don't like it.
Wow. I mean, I think it.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah, that is. I mean, and again, no judgment. I'm just on my end. I'm like, vanilla is probably one of my most favorite smells. Now, in moderation. Because I agree with you. If it's like that Febreze crap or anything that's too thick, it is painful. But
yeah,
I mean,
that's one on my list is just perfumes and cosmetic stuff that are too over the top. Mm-hmm. A lot of them too, perfumes that, younger gals will wear or older gals trying to be younger. It's very much like
we're losing our audience.
It's the smell equivalent of a car driving around with no muffler. You know what I mean? It's like, look at me. I'm walking into any room and everyone is forced to acknowledge my presence because of the noxious aroma coming off of me at every step.
Serious.
And it's obnoxious, really, and it makes me angry, first of all, and then I try and figure out where it's coming from so that I can be angry towards the right person specifically.
And then I pick her up and just play around with her a bit, and she's
freaking
gone.
I mean,
no, and then I would say nothing, but inside would just be livid and thinking of all the things I would say.
How dare you?
But I mean, doing what so back when I worked insurance, this happened literally. And I wonder if, and again, I'm really sorry to anyone who's going to get offended at this episode because we love you. Oh, okay, we're not sorry. Apparently, with the United stand of being a-holes, and we're okay with that because we're Wondertilt and we laugh at everything, including ourselves. But I don't. Is there a store where older ladies buy the same perfume? You guys know what I'm talking about. You can instantly identify if there is a woman above 60 years old walking into a room if they wear this. I'm serious. Come on now.
It smells like
it
smells like soap.
Wow.
Like a nice flowery soap. Whether that's lilac or rose.
Lavender.
No? Yeah.
Lavender. That's I think the biggest smell because Paula got a deal or something, or she found it. I think when you go to Superstore or something, you pay over $300 for groceries. Now you all know how much I pay for groceries, but whenever you go over like a limit, they give you like a free thing. And she got like a bath package one time, and we got like a bubble bath with it, so we used it for the boys, and it was lavender. And I swear, I just smelt a different age demographic every time I went at it.
My son smells like a 65-year-old woman.
Mrs. Peterson, is that you? What the frick?
Well, because lavender's supposed to be like a relaxing smell, and it's supposed to like calm you down and stuff. I think that's why people get it.
Oh my gosh, I don't enjoy it.
That's the thing, and a lot of them I don't
Smell
necessarily
of death.
mind any of the smells individually. It's when it's super strong and like obviously a chemical of some
Overbearing.
kind. You know, if you step into the room and it smacks you in the face, whatever it is, there's too much being used.
Yes.
It could be perfume, could be air freshener, could be. There's certainly lots of body sprays and colognes that guys can wear that are just as bad, just as noxious. You know, it's smell pollution, basically.
It really is smell pollution.
Like driving around with your music way too loud and your windows down, or, you know, whatever. It's this careless, not just being careless about other people's experience, but willfully crossing over into it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yep.
You know, trying to turn some heads.
Well, and it's people not knowing how to properly apply like perfumes and stuff, right?
Well, there's the alternative where no one applies anything to prevent their essence.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
I was just gonna say, then there's BO. And
that's an equally unappealing. That's not even because again, remember we started the episode saying, what has your mind not been able to filter? Now there is just unpleasant smells, like in my opinion, BO, but it's not something that drives me crazy. If I walked into a store and all I heard was the sound of people ice skating and stopping and starting, I would probably go into the fetal position. I'm not even kidding. It's probably the only weakness I really have besides the vomitous smell of banana, apparently. But
yeah. If I heard like that nasally negging sound, I would. Sometimes sometimes I'm just like I plug my ears.
You gotta find me a sample, not because I want to duplicate it or hurt you with it. I want to seriously know what you're honing in on, because, well, maybe
Really?
I don't.
I'm surprised you don't hear it, because like there's been like, even with women, like sometimes you see a woman and they're attractive, right? But all of a sudden, like they speak, and instantly if I hear that, I am,
there's like a woman that's attractive,
totally,
but then they speak.
Oh,
then they speak.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like one of the things that I look for in a woman is their voice. That's one of the criteria that I have.
So like Janet from Friends wouldn't be accepted. Sorry, Dave, go for it.
Yeah, well, but I mean, whatever. That's anybody, right? I don't know. I definitely just there's people with annoying voices that are guys, or people whose voices just don't suit them, and you see them.
That's true.
Forever.
Yeah.
Or if you know somebody for a while, but you don't have like a voice conversation, and then you meet them and they talk like this, and it's just like, oh, you get a different voice actor.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That actually does drive me crazy, where you're like, you see a picture or a profile and you hear and read their music or whatever, and suddenly you hear them talking, you're like, oh geez, oh god, oh no.
Or if you have like an email correspondence with somebody for a while, and then you finally talk on the phone, and it's like, could you be somebody else? Because
you're not what I thought.
Don't sound like Steve. Steve sounded different in my head.
Sound like a Hubert.
Put Steve on. Real Steve.
Well, like Russ, it's a good example that you brought up, like in Friends, where Janice was really annoying to Chandler, right?
My God.
Yeah, and she has that nasaliness, but it's not like a constant. You know that she's doing it on purpose because she's an actress.
She's a comedian. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. But even like Chandler couldn't stand that voice when she did it, right?
And the laugh.
And so if you're gonna spend like the rest of your life with someone, get someone whose voice you enjoy, because if you don't, it's just that much more added on top of, like, if you get into a fight or if you just hear their voice, you won't like it.
Voice. How far could you actually make it in a relationship?
Just get a house.
I
next
can't
to the
make
freeway.
it.
Wow, Dave. Wow.
Just get out.
And Cloud would lose his marbles. I agree with you, though. Again, you do have to be comfortable with the person that you're with. Thankfully, I love my wife's voice. And if you're listening, sweetie, I love you. She's not listening. She doesn't care about our podcast. It's not nice. It's not very nice at all.
Comment, subscribe.
Comment and subscribe. We look forward to hearing from you. Oh, no. One thing it is interesting, though, as I've grown up, I am a huge sports fan, as you guys know, all the sports. And for those out there, eventually when more and more people listen, we are the minority in this. My good friends Cloud and Super Dave, they are very patient with me. They are very courteous when I talk mixed sports. And you know what? Cloud has taken more of an interest in the stories behind the athletes. But I'm probably the rabid fan that, wears a jersey and yells stuff at the TV, whereas my good friends Super and Cloud would probably shake their heads quietly and pray that I'm not insane. But something that does drive me crazy, because I like communication, I like media, hence why we're doing this podcast, is I hate sports interviews with hockey players. Not football. Okay, so here's the example. I'm glad you asked, Cloud. I'm glad you asked. Football players, whenever they do interviews, it is meant to get buy-in from the audience, as interviews are supposed to be. So typically it's after a quarter in football or after a quarter in basketball, they'll get an interview from a coach or a player. Hockey's a little different, though, because you're wearing about 40 pounds of equipment, 50 pounds of equipment on your body. You're skating nonstop, huffing and puffing. And here's the style. And this is, I think it's the media's fault, but in hockey, as soon as the period is over, they are pulling a player aside to interview them. Now, again, in football, it's very much so stop and start. So you have time to rest and they sound normal when you get the interview. But a hockey player has just sprinted for 30 to 45 seconds straight and come off the ice and is now expected to talk in a mic and answer the same stupid questions over and over again. And I see why you guys, some of you not total sports fans, hate sports. But so, for example, it'd be like, so Super Dave, Super Dave, what did you feel about the goals that were scored today, and how do you think you can stay on top of the other team? Well, it just gotta keep that puck. You gotta keep moving with it and trust teammates and put it in the back of the net, and hopefully we'll come away with a win.
Yeah. Okay, it's a great way to stay in shape.
That's exactly it.
You're making me think after I've lost all oxygen to my brain.
It is literally painful to watch them, because I feel bad for the hockey players, because they're not in hockey to talk into a mic. You know that they're awkward.
No.
Some of them are good old Alberta boys that are rednecks and are great hockey players. Not all hockey players are rednecks. I'm just making a joke. But they're not there because they have a sweet, sulky radio voice. They're there because they play hockey and hit people. And so when you get that mixed with them gasping for air, it is terrible, in my opinion. You're welcome.
Yeah. And that's sort of part of, honestly, for me, my attitude towards sports and athletics and the whole thing. It's not that, I'm angry or vitriolic towards it, because whatever, it's bringing people joy that aren't me, but whatever. There's lots of stuff I like that nobody else gets or thinks
very
is
mature,
super weird, right? And that doesn't bother me. But it's more very fascinating and confusing, and the culture around it, and just how into it everybody gets. And even just the interviews with these people, what could you possibly get from this guy that's going to enrich your experience, other than laughing at how tired he is. Like you said, if they say the same thing over and over again, it's just bloated entertainment for its own sake. Not all the time. I'm sure on the local community level, I get the concept behind it, but it's more just the huge dog and pony show it's become, and all the culture around it. It's very interesting. It's like a weird alien culture that just is right next door. And
we might have to do a future episode towards something like this. It doesn't have to be all about this, but Cloud and I had even talked before about, I did grow up a sports fan, and it is a different mentality because, and again, we are totally off what we were already talking about. And that's okay. Welcome to the Wondertilt podcast. That's who we are. But we're tilted. We're in wonder. But maybe we should talk about it in one of our upcoming episodes, because it's just, in my opinion, it's the kind of same as video game culture, art culture. It is the people amidst which you are bound to. So it is the Saskatchewan Roughriders, where Super Dave lives, where it is literally one province that has only one major professional sports team, and it is a freaking religion out there
Yeah, it's like it's a more popular conversation
It
topic
is
than the
more.
weather, you know. Oh, them riders used to game.
Better wear green or you're gonna bleed red.
You know.
What? Just so you guys know, the Rough Riders color is green. But I think that would be an interesting topic to discuss down the road. Is kind of why. Okay, all right.
I'd be into it. I like learning new things and trying to understand and making assumptions
and insulting people,
cool.
as we've done this episode.
And probably what I'd want you guys to do is, because I don't know your guys' perspective or main frustrations. I mean, I could try to simulate or compile thoughts as to why I don't like it, but it would be very difficult for me. So I would love to hear your guys' legitimate questions where it's like, how do you like this? Or what is about this? By all means, pepper me with your questions.
I like that. That's a good idea. We can try and come up with stuff that confuses us about the culture,
Yes.
or things that we don't quite get. And you can try your best to explain it, and then we can have a back and forth. That could even be a thing we do if we can find more topics that like one of us is super into and the other two have no idea or aren't interested. And just do like a Q&A.
I agree. I think it would be a very good format. And please, if you're listening, let us know in the comments as well. Remember, you can subscribe on YouTube at Wondertilt or go to our website, www.wondertilt.com. Okay, that's a shameless plug, but that you're listening to our podcast, so you probably know all this. But just in case you forgot how you got to where you are, that's how you get there. Okay?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Don't worry, we'll remind you again.
Well, we'll continue. And again, you can follow us. Now, to just clarify to everybody, do we each have I know I do, but do we have our own individual accounts on like Twitter and Instagram? Or are you married to the Wondertilt account? You guys know what I mean?
You mean you want to plug our personal accounts and stuff?
You absolutely can. You're worth following, Dave. You are.
Yeah, well,
you're worth it.
I want to know what you're eating. I do.
I do. I want to see a picture.
I like being an elusive, shadowy, mysterious figure. I feel like
you know what, guys?
Mysterious stranger.
Yeah.
You don't need to know
his character.
These opinions.
Then don't worry about it, guys. Dave is an enigma. He is a mysterious man of wonder and adventure.
They just turn on the Dave signal, and I show up, 5 minutes before we start recording.
That's right.
I wish that our life had more mystery and excitement. Flip the trigger.
You kids want to talk about Star Wars? Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Absolutely. Well done.
Mine's called Cloud Coma. You can find me on Instagram.
Cloud Coma. I have a stupid one, but it's been with me for years, and I don't know how else to get rid of it. So mine is actually Palsy, which is P like Papa, U1, LCEY. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how. It was a joke that I actually had while I was living in Regina years ago. It used to be a word puce, which is just a terrible word.
That.
Yep. Well, we just changed it to Pulse, which then became Palsy, and that's my handle. It doesn't matter.
I think we should call you Palsy.
Yeah.
Why not?
Just change it to Palsy. Well, hey.
Yep. We got Supa, we got Cloud, and we got Palsy. Why not?
Hey, you know what? I'm cool with Palsy. And you guys can't see the software we're using to record right now, but I changed my last name is Bird, so I changed my name to Lord Birmingham. I don't think it's a good.
I like it.
Thanks, man.
I like it.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Comment on it earlier.
Suddenly, Palsy is so much better than anything I've heard. And anything else, gentlemen, before we bid our fair listeners adieu?
Well, I kind of had a story.
Please.
Because I didn't know what we were kind of doing, really. So, I kind of just had a story because we were talking about like just kind of paying attention throughout the week and just kind of seeing if there's something.
Bust it out, man. Absolutely. Bring her home.
I got a story someone mentioned to me that happened to them in their life.
Okay.
So she was this girl, she was looking for an apartment building, and there's this place downtown here in Medicine Hat, and it's kind of like these bachelor suites or whatever, right? Kind of like a studio apartment kind of thing. And this building has three apartments in it, and they're all different sizes. And she goes and her friend go check out this place. And as soon as you walk in, there's like this weird kind of feeling. And I have to add that she's very sensitive to kind of like spiritual things.
Okay.
So if you guys kind of understand that, I know you guys do, but
Sorry.
our audience might not, right? So this is kind of like a scary kind
She
of
feels the room.
funny, interesting story. So so she kind of feels like this weird vibe kind of going on in the room. And around the walls and on the floor, it kind of looks like there's been a murder scene. It was kind of like a druggy kind of place. And
Where
so,
was this again?
you know, like in downtown.
Okay.
Was this
Here. Yeah.
where she was living or looking at a
Yeah.
Looking at the apartment.
Oh, okay.
So this is the initial look or whatever. And the person trying to like sell this apartment, they're like, okay, well, yeah, like we can, you guys can clean it up or whatever and stay here for cheap and stuff. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, we'll stay here. But she opens the bathroom. She's like, but you guys got to clean that because I'm not cleaning it. And so whatever was in there, it was pretty gnarly and she kind of didn't want to deal with it. So they got it all cleaned up. But the first 3 nights that she stayed there, she slept on the couch in the living room because she felt like a presence kind of in the hallway and she didn't want to go to the room. So the first 3 nights, it was just kind of really sketch and she didn't want to go there. So that was kind of like a creepy thing that was happening. And she told me that there was a laundry room downstairs that all the tenants shared. And the ground was kind of made of concrete, but it was like really old concrete that was like, it looks like it's been chipped away at. And so it almost like looks like a dirt floor. And in the center of the room, there's a light that you kind of like, just like, it's one of those pull lights. So you like pull it and then it kind of lights up. But it's like a horror scene where it only lights up like a certain section of the room and the walls are just like solid dark. Right. And so like once you flick the switch, the light starts swinging and it kind of swings back and forth. And so it just kind of looks really creepy.
Wow.
And there's like these old bed frames and couch frames and stuff just kind of all along the walls that people have left there over the years. And then it's just like the washing machine and the dryer kind of right in the middle and this one light. And so it's just like a really creepy scene. And so she would make it a thing that she would never do laundry like after 6 p.m. because it was just way too scary. And even like she met her neighbors and it was like a younger girl and she's like, did you see the laundry room? Did you do laundry? She's like, it's creepy, right? And it's like, yes, it's totally creepy. And it's like, they mentioned that there's this door behind the door frames that it looks very old. It's just like a kind of like a thick door that's very old, but it's locked with like an old medieval kind of looking lock. Like it's got like a big keyhole in it and pretty solid, right?
Okay.
And so they don't know what's in there.
They need the boss.
And so they're like, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so what ends up happening is she invites one of her friends over to her apartment, her like new apartment that she just got. And her friend gets there and she's like, I've been here before. This belonged to so-and-so, which was actually their hairdresser. And so they're like, we should go visit her and ask her about when she lived here. And so they go to their hairdresser and they're like, hey, so-and-so, we'll call her Jay. This is the initial girl. Jay lives in your old apartment. Remember that place that was in downtown and you were with your boyfriend and blah, blah. And she's like, oh yeah, that was a great apartment. I had tons of good times in there. She starts telling this story that her and her boyfriend were in the apartment with another couple, their friends, and they were just smoking weed. And so they were getting high and they decided to go downstairs to the laundry room because they wanted to show their friends the laundry room because it was really creepy. And they get down there and they notice that door that is locked with that lock is actually open. And so they're like, they end up going towards it and they walk inside and inside they see a coffin.
Hell no.
Yeah, some tall candelabras, and kind of like these bones all around. And so
Is this like
it was just wait,
okay,
we're
sorry.
getting there. And
All right.
and do you know what? Do you know what they do? Naturally, because they're high, they get in the coffin and they start taking pictures. And they're taking pictures with all this stuff, and they're just out of their minds. So they're like, "Oh yeah, look, take a picture of me, and like, look this," and they're doing all this, right? And then they just get out and they just go back upstairs, whatever. It's just another day to them. So so Jay, curious as to why there's a coffin in that room and all these supposed body parts that used to be in there, she starts looking up on the internet and just kind of researching the history of the building, like what it is that was happening there, what might be happening. And she finds out that it was a ritual room that was used by what they call the Orange Men, which which turns out that they're the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan of Canada, and that they own that property, and that she looks further into it, and there's a couple properties in Medicine Hat that are owned by them still, that they owned way back whenever, right? Like when Medicine Hat was like first built or whatever. And she tells me that there's another building that they own that is like a solid brick building that's completely square. It's huge. But there is one entrance in, one entrance out, and no windows for 3 floors.
What the frick?
You can't see inside or anything, and you can only get in or out by one door.
Yeah, there's definitely, I've heard of buildings like that before that are, presumably some secret organization or other. I don't know though.
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical about that story, if I'm being honest, just because it's a little crazy, and I'm hearing it from you, from your friend, from your friend's hairdresser.
Yes, right.
It's interesting, but yeah, my skeptic is showing.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's also cool because she told me another story because she actually worked in the medical field before she had an accident, and she works with a lot of medical equipment, and so she replaces stuff in hospitals and stuff. And she was in this old hospital that's kind of like it houses loony people, so crazy people. And
not to be politically incorrect,
they would, yeah, exactly. I don't know what the proper term is, so forgive me for that. But they have like ankle bracelets and like wrist bracelets that once you get to a door, it'll set off this door, and this door slams shut on you.
Right. Okay.
And it locks it. And so that's the kind of place it was. And these people, they have buttons they can press that will light up a light at their room door, in the hallway, and then at the desk of the nurse that's attending, right? And when they need something. So she's called in because this light keeps coming on every time. And the room that it was attached to was this guy that had recently died, and he would push the button a lot. And so she comes in and they ask her to change it, and she's like, okay, well, maybe the button's stuck. Maybe there's a short somewhere. It's an old building. It's an old system. Let's get all this replaced, right? So she starts out with like cheap stuff, and she's replacing buttons and stuff. And then she gets to the wiring, and then she gets to the panels, and she's like, okay, maybe my new equipment is faulty still, because it's still happening. This light is still coming on randomly.
Right.
And so she replaces things like at least 3 times. And then she even calls a manufacturer of the actual equipment, and they built it in the 50s. It was like 1950s or whatever. And they're like helping her. This technician's telling her everything she needs to do. And it's like, yep, we've done everything. Like, we can't do it. And the nurses come up and they're like, you know what? And they're like, we tried fixing it, but you know what? It's probably haunted. Don't worry about it. And so they're just accepting it, right? And they're like, because you know what? There's, that park out back? The lights come on at a certain time and they shut off at a certain time, and we don't know what it is. And we've replaced all the wiring. We've brought technicians in. We brought security guards to watch the place. And it's still doing the exact same thing every day. And she learns that park used to be a cemetery because the old hospital used to be a prison before. And they used to hang a lot of inmates there.
Electricians?
Sorry.
Yeah. So it's just like these cool stories that I heard throughout the week, and I just wanted to share them because they were super interesting. And yeah, I could see the skepticism and stuff.
Have a good night's sleep, everybody.
But yeah, and I just kind of wanted to do a spooky story thing. It's Halloween.
Right. Well,
it's October.
We should definitely do an episode later, closer to Halloween, about stories that we've researched or looked up or have heard of, because I think that's
ridiculous ones too.
Ridiculous is always accepted by us.
More ridiculous than what I just said.
Absolutely. Mr. Dave.
Yeah, I got nothing. I can't. I wasn't that prepared. I can't follow that.
No, I can't follow it either. I can't follow it. Are we satisfied to release the hounds?
Yeah.
Well.
I think we've all learned something here today.
I don't know what I've learned anymore. I was talking about vomit as bananas, and now I'm afraid to go into my basement. So, I mean, I don't know what you've got from this episode, but we hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember again to like, comment, and subscribe. You can go onto YouTube, find us at Wondertilt. That's WONDERTILT. Or you can go to our website, www.wondertilt.com, and find us on Twitter, Instagram, all the standard social media places. Again, my name is Russ, potentially being called Palsy for the future, Cloud Coma, and Super Dave. Thank you for listening.
Yep. Tip your waitresses.
Please tip them. They will hurt you.
It's true. Be safe.
Happy pot day.
Is that what it is? It's pot day?
It's pot day, man.
Okay.
It is.
Let's leave it at that.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Remember, Snoop Dogg will come.